feet back on the ground. Won't you please help me?
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're counting down our picks for the most infectious, memorable and iconic tracks gifted to us by the Fab Four.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Number 20, Here Comes the Sun. Although it falls squarely in the middle of Abbey Road's track list, Here Comes the Sun has all of the irresistible optimism befitting an opener and a closer.
Here comes the sun, I say it's alright.
Conceived by George Harrison during a jam session with Eric Clapton in the latter's garden, the imagery he conjures up through his innocent vocals recall the serenity and solitude of nature, and the results speak for themselves.
Sun, 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 here it comes.
Like the sun rising after a period of darkness, its encapsulation of pure bliss is enough to make anyone happier than they already were prior to listening to it. Critics rightfully ate up its wholesome simplicity, and its success sent a clear signal that Harrison was every bit as much of a songwriting force as Lennon and McCartney.
Here comes the sun, it's alright.
Number 19, Paperback Writer. Believe it or not, this hard rocker was actually written on a dare. When Paul McCartney's aunt challenged him not to write a love song, his response was Paperback Writer. Though its lyrical content isn't exactly deep, the song's vision of an author appealing to his publisher is enhanced through its booming bass and incredible harmonies. Like the partnership the protagonist hopes to establish, Paperback Writer is a tune built off a couple of key pairings.
It's a steady job, but he wants to be a paperback writer. Paperback writer.
John's tambourine makes for a fine addition to Ringo's workmanlike percussion, but it's Paul and George's guitar work that truly sells us the second we hear that opening riff. In many ways, it was this particular track that helped legitimize the more sophisticated arrangements they would eventually bring to Revolver. Number 18, A Hard Day's Night. With its distinctive and mystifying introductory chord, A Hard Day's Night was a statement to end all statements at the height of Beatlemania.
It's been a hard day's night.
Bookending the movie of the same name, it embodies the movement the Fab Four found themselves ushering in as their music and influence began to spread worldwide. And in more ways than one, not only do John Lennon's lyrics encapsulate the fatigue of endless work and the adoration that makes it all worthwhile, but its popularity made it the Beatles' 5th #1 hit in less than a year.
When I get over you, I find the thing that you do make me feel alright.
It's one of the definitive tracks of the British invasion's first phase, allowing the foursome to transcend their heartthrob image and climb straight to the top of the rock and roll food chain. Number 17, Revolution. If Imagine and Give Peace a Chance are any indication, John Lennon firmly believed in music's ability to spark new ways of thinking about the world. But just as implicit in his willingness to dissect politics through song was his ability to craft an abrasive call to arms, like Revolution. With a distorted, borderline violent sound, it seems like an assault on the ears at times, but that's exactly the point.
But if you want money for people with minds that day, well, all I can tell you is, brother, you have to wait.
As evidenced by the electrifying guitar riff that opens it, it's the kind of song that immediately hits you with its intentions and doesn't beat around the bush. Lennon's defense of pacifism caused many anti-war activists to initially misinterpret Revolution, but it's that very objectivity that continues to make it such an affecting work. Number 16. Norwegian Wood. This bird has flown. Never in the history of music has a one-night stand, and the complicated feelings it inspires, sounded so melodic. The Beatles knew how to sing about romantic encounters by 1965.
I once had a girl, or should I say, she once had me.
But the alternative approach Norwegian Wood takes to the subject proved their charming exterior was hiding a group of intelligent songwriters waiting to take flight. True to the Beatles' nature, this rubber soul single embraces the past in order to dream up new ideas about the future.
We talked until 2, and then she said, it's time for bed.
The folksy foundation recalls shades of Bob Dylan, but its distinct use of the sitar, a first for mainstream rock, was an endorsement for Eastern influences to make their way out west. Despite its contemplative and sad subject matter, it left little doubt that psychedelia had arrived.
And when I awoke, I was alone. This bird had flown.
Number 15. Abbey Road medley. We can see how combining 8 songs into one entry seems like cheating, but taken as a whole, the medley that closes out Abbey Road is 16 minutes of musical perfection. Seriously, it's hard to think of an album that goes out with as affirmative a bang as this one, and each fragment has something different to say. The orchestral 1-2 punch of Golden Slumbers and Carry That Weight are perhaps the most recognisable sections, but that's not to discredit the rest of the concerto. From You Never Give Me Your Money, all the way to Ringo's drum solo on the end, the medley gives each member a moment to shine. Plus, its final lyric makes for a fitting encapsulation of the Beatles' essence.
The love you take is equal to the love you make.
Number 14. Tomorrow Never Knows. If the apocalypse was set to music, we'd like to think Tomorrow Never Knows would be a suitable choice.
Turn off your mind, relax and float downstream.
That's not to say it revels in horrifying imagery, but rather that it conveys what it's like to leave one world and step into another. We have psychologist Timothy Leary to thank for that, as his advocacy for trippy substances directly inspired John Lennon to capture a mind-expanding experience on tape. And that he did, both lyrically and musically.
It is shining. It is shining.
Distinguished by its use of tape loops, George's droning sitar, and Ringo's constant percussion, Tomorrow Never Knows is hallucinatory and a technical marvel, which makes it all the more impressive that it arrived only 2 years after Beatlemania, out with the mop tops, in with the transcendental. Number 13. All You Need Is Love. If you've ever needed proof that it's okay to occasionally sugarcoat things, look no further than All You Need Is Love. Released in the dog days of the Summer of Love, the band famously debuted the song alongside their contemporaries during the international Our World TV production. Even now, it's hard not to feel moved as they bring together other major voices to support a platform much bigger than any of them.
All you need is love. All you need is love.
The song's message is short and sweet, but its bombastic approach, complete with a 13-piece orchestra, makes it a rousing celebration of the best things that life has to offer. Although it's been criticised for its perceived naivety and utopian nature, there's simply no questioning the conviction with which it makes its point.
Love is all you need. Love is all you need. Love is all you need. Love is all you need.
Number 12. In My Life. In more ways than one, producer George Martin was the unsung hero of the Beatles, and it's tracks like In My Life that exemplify why.
There are places I remember all my life.
The song would be nothing without Lennon's poetic lyrics about the passage of time and its equally wistful melody, the authorship of which he and McCartney frequently bickered over. But their feud was all for naught, as Martin's benevolent piano work arguably carries the most weight in how we remember this one.
But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you.
Mirroring the sound of the harpsichord, his classically infused stylings provide a delightful support to the band's vocal harmonies. In My Life is one of the band's quintessential Baroque pieces, and its inclusion on Rubber Soul made it a gateway into the next phase of their time together.
In my life, I love you more.
Number 11. Come Together. The Beatles' embrace of 60s counterculture provided them with a platform to get increasingly creative with their lyrical content.
Here come old flat top, he come grooving up slowly.
In other words, some of their most memorable selections don't need to be understood so much as they need to be experienced. With its surreal, practically meaningless lyrics, not to mention its iconic drum and bass filled intro, Come Together is one such song.
Come together right now over me.
Another track connected to Timothy Leary, John Lennon's bluesy descent into free verse turned it into something even more praiseworthy and timeless than the campaign song it almost was. While McCartney's suggestion of a slower tempo ultimately made it to the bop we all know and love, it's Lennon's free-spiritedness in creating absurd imagery that truly makes it a song for the ages.
Come together, yeah.
Number 10. I Want to Hold Your Hand. If any one song signalled the arrival of the Beatles as serious business, it was this one.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand.
Arriving in the US at the tail end of 1963, I Want to Hold Your Hand became their first of many number one hits and was perfectly positioned to kick off the British invasion in stride. The Beatles themselves arrived a couple of months later for a stint on the Ed Sullivan Show, and the rest, as they say, is history.
You let me hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand.
But even beyond its significance to the Fab Four's legacy, it still typifies their proclivity for letting the music do all the talking for them. With its propulsive chords and the effortless harmonies of John and Paul, it's safe to say that there's still nothing quite like it.
I wanna hold your hand.
Number 9. Blackbird. The White Album is perhaps best remembered for its overwhelming assortment of genres, including blues, avant-garde, and even heavy metal in its earliest stages. But it was Paul McCartney's embrace of folk that gave life to this tender reflection of the civil rights movement.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night.
Blackbird, like most great Beatles tunes, completely transcends time and space to empower anyone in a compromising position, and it does so without sacrificing any of the urgency beneath its simple yet powerful lyrics.
Take these sunken eyes and learn to see.
As the only featured Beatle on the track, Blackbird was something of a solo outing for Paul before his solo career even began. But the song's ability to enthrall and educate is such that only one voice is necessary for it to make a lasting impression.
All your life you were only waiting for this moment to arise.
Number 8. Something. Is it hyperbole to say that this is the greatest love song ever written?
Something in the way she moves.
We honestly aren't sure, as George Harrison's superbly penned treatise on romance remains one of the most warm-hearted songs in the Fab Four's catalogue. Although Harrison never fully admitted to who inspired this song, Something taps into the vulnerability of love in such a way that anyone can be swept off their feet just by listening to it. George's musical leadership can be felt throughout, as his gentle vocals and ingenious guitar work send chills down our spine and come awfully close to making us blush. His efforts landed the song atop numerous charts, in addition to a double platinum certification, and it unsurprisingly became a go-to during his solo career.
I don't know.
Number 7. Eleanor Rigby. When the pop music landscape needed a shake-up, Eleanor Rigby was a veritable earthquake that announced the Beatles as royalty in the world of studio music making.
Eleanor Rigby picks up the rice in the church where a wedding has been. Lives in a dream.
Interestingly, not only was it their first song not to feature the guitar, but it's also one in which the core four don't provide any instrumentation at all. So why is Revolver's lead single still such an unshakable earworm? The simplest answer is George Martin's impeccable arrangement and the string octet that brings it to life.
Ah, look at all the lonely people.
Played almost exclusively in staccato, the music provides a spark of liveliness to a song that frankly conveys themes like death and the inconsequential nature of existence. It's one for all the lonely people, and we couldn't be more thankful for that.
All the lonely people. Where do they all come from?
Number 6. While My Guitar Gently Weeps. In some ways, it's a little unfair that the quiet Beatle did some of his best work just as the band was beginning to fall apart. But that very sentiment is one that George Harrison channeled directly into While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
While my guitar gently weeps.
Although mournful in its expression of unrealised love, Harrison's blues-inspired guitar work, alongside an uncredited Eric Clapton, gives the song a feeling of defiance. At times, it's almost as if he's voicing everything he's wanted to say to his bandmates, with the resulting harmonies providing a brief moment of unity amidst their collective turmoil.
I don't know why nobody told you.
It's no wonder why the song is often recognised as George's masterpiece, or why it was a favourite amongst those who paid tribute after his 2001 passing.
I don't know how you were inverted.
Number 5. Strawberry Fields Forever. Arguably the Beatles' most enduringly enigmatic song, Strawberry Fields Forever was also one of their most ambitious and off-kilter offerings at the time of recording.
Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to Strawberry Fields.
Ever one to rebel against the norm, John Lennon's mosaic of childhood memories assumes a variety of identities. Although he paints a melancholic portrait of the past, the cacophonous use of percussion, brass and strings provided a foundation for his band to write a new chapter of rock history.
Nothing to get hung about. Strawberry Fields Forever.
John's passion project was an unprecedented feat of production that saw everything from movements recorded in reverse to the combination of two completed tracks into one, with psychedelia in its truest form, with a surreal and otherworldly feel that ensures its greatest musical secrets will die with the Beatles themselves.
Strawberry Fields Forever. Strawberry Fields Forever.
Number 4. Yesterday. Seeing as how it's one of the most covered songs in history, Yesterday makes a decent case for being Paul McCartney's greatest contribution to the medium of music.
Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away.
If that's true, then it's a testament to how well he can pack a career's worth of songwriting prowess into just 2 minutes. Macca famously developed the melody in a dream, and the tune was so stirring that he mistakenly thought he'd plagiarized it.
Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used used to be.
Featuring only McCartney and a string quartet, the marriage of classical sounds and pop compositions was a sign of things to come for the ever-experimental Beatles. But it's the sombre yet universal evocation of heartbreak and all of its missed opportunities that make Yesterday a standard by which many other songs are measured.
Oh, I believe in yesterday.
Number 3. Hey Jude. The old adage goes that the only certainties in life are death and taxes. If there were a third, it might be singing along to Hey Jude.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better.
Although many of the Beatles songs champion optimism and community, it's hard to think of a song that can invite a crowd to join in the way that this one can. Written by McCartney to console Lennon's son Julian amidst his parents' divorce, Hey Jude is a song to remind even the loneliest among us that love is never too far away.
Hey Jude, refrain, don't carry the world upon your shoulders.
Requiring a 36-piece orchestra for its sweeping 4-minute coda, its enduring effect is no less than euphoric. It's little wonder why it spent 9 weeks atop the Billboard Hot 100 charts and remains an audience favourite. Number 2. Let It Be. When the Beatles found themselves in times of trouble, Paul McCartney channeled the spirit of his late mother into this uplifting and revelatory pop anthem.
Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
Although its lyrics come from a foundation of anguish, Let It Be's mix of soft rock and gospel is so triumphant that it dares you not to give in to its power. McCartney lays everything bare in his vocal performance, knowing exactly what to say to those who need to hear him the most.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Yeah, there will be an answer, let it be.
Recorded at a time when the Fab Four were approaching their collapse, the song is not without the irony that its message wasn't enough to keep them together. But with such candid delivery, Let It Be is an eternal reminder to look for better days ahead. Number 1. A Day in the Life. If we started this list embracing the soft-spoken pleasures of a new day, we end it reflecting on the simple beauties and tragedies in everything that follows. As the concluding track to the legendary Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, A Day in the Life is John and Paul's musicality at its most disparate, yet harmonious.
They'd seen his face before, nobody was really sure if he was from the House of Lords.
The two songwriters approach the same topic from opposite perspectives, with McCartney's nonchalance forming the perfect contrast to Lennon's disillusionment. Under the direction of any other band, the words would be too ordinary for their own good, and the tonal shifts too jarring to take seriously.
Somebody spoke and I went into a dream.
Instead, the Beatles blessed us with an all-encompassing, genre-defying meditation on how much they had accomplished and the devastating fate that awaited them. What's your favourite Beatles song? Which Beatle do you think had the best solo career? Let us know down in the comments.
All my loving I will send to you.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.